It is not an accident that the axiomatic Western individual is someone who was unfairly nailed to a cross and tortured. It's like, yes, right. Exactly. So what do you do about that, Will? I thought about it for a long time too. It's like, well, you do not get together in a damn bomb because all that does is allow you to see as horrible as you could possibly imagine and suffer from none of the consequences. That's a bad idea, so how about you do not do that? Well, there is a deep idea in the West too. It's like, pick up your damn suffering and bear it and try to be a good person so you do not make it worse. Well, that's the truth. I read a lot about terrible things that people have done to each other. You just cannot even imagine it. It's so awful, so you do not want to be someone like that now. Do you have a reason to be? Yes, you have lots of reasons to be. God, there is a reason to be resentful about your existence. Everyone you know is gonna die, you too. And there is going to be a fair bit of a pain along the way. And lots of it's gonna be unfair. It's like, yeah, no wonder you're resentful. It's like, act it out and see what happens. You make everything you're complaining about infinitely worse. There is this idea that hell is bottomless pit. And that's because no matter how bad it is, some stupid son of a bitch like you could figure out the way to make it a lot worse. So you think, well, what do you do about that? Well, you accept it. And that's what life is like, it's suffering. That's what the religious people have always said, life is suffering. Yes. Well, what do you do about that? Well, you accept it. Life is suffering. Who wants to admit that? Well, just think about it. Well, so what do you do in the face of that suffering? Try to reduce it. Start with yourself. What good are you? Get yourself together for Christ's sake so that when your father dies, you're not winding away in a corner and you can help plan the funeral. And so you can stand up solidly so people can rely on you. That's better. Don't be damn victim. Of course, you're a victim, Jesus. Obviously, put yourself together and then maybe if you put yourself together, you make how to do that. You know, what's wrong with it if you'll damn it? You know, there is a few things you could polish up a little bit that you might even be able to manage in your insufficient person conditions. And so you might shine yourself up a little bit. And then your eyes will be a little more open. Then you can shine yourself up a little bit more. Then maybe you could bring your family together instead of having them to be hateful, spiteful, and finding batch that you're doomed to spend Christmas with. Then you fix yourself up a little bit humbly because God, you're a fixer-upper if there was one. Then you gotta figure out, well, can you figure out how to make peace with your idiot brothers? That's probably because he's just as dumb as you. And so, how you hell are gonna to manage that? And so then, maybe you get somewhere that way and your family is functioning and you find out, well, that's relief a little bit of suffering, although it's reduced the opportunities for spiteful revenge. And that's a pain in the neck. And so then, you get your family together a little bit. And you're little clued and then at least a bit. Because you're done something difficult that's actively difficult. You're a little wiser and then you maybe could put a tentative figure out beyond the family and try to change some little things without rating it. It's like our society is complex and we teach our students that they could just fix it. It's like go fix a military helicopter and see how far you get with it. It's like you're gonna get to do, you're like a chimp with a wrench, walk or look, it's better. It's like no, it's not better. Things are complicated and try to fix things is really hard. And then you have to be like golden tool to fix things. You're not. And that's the other message of the West. It's like, how do you overcome the suffering of life? And I'm not saying it is only the message of the West. How do you overcome the suffering of life? It's be better a person. That's how you do it. Well, it's hard. It takes responsibility. I think I said to someone, that's how you do it. Well, it's hard. Everything you do matters. That's the definition of meaningful life, but everything you do matter. You're gonna have a carry that's with you. So do you want to just forget about the whole meaning things, and then you do not have any responsibility, because who the hell cares? You can wander through the life doing whatever you want, gratifying impulsive desire for how useful that's gonna be. One do you want? Well, ask yourself, which one are you pursuing? And you will find very rapidly that it isn't the majority of our soul that pursuing the whole meaning things. Because look, what do you have to do to do that? You have to take on the fact that life is suffering. You have to put yourself together in the face of that. Well, that's hard, Christ. It's amazing. People can even do it. I'm stunned every day. When I go outside and that isn't a riot with everything burning, really, God. You talk to people, it's like, I knew this guy. He had been in the motorcycle accident and it's really ruined him. He was like a linesman working on the power. He was working with someone who had Parkinson's diseases. And they had complementary inadequacies, so two of them could do the job for one person. And so they're out there fixing power lines in the freezing cold, despite the fact that one was 3/4 wrecked with a motorcycle accident and the other had Parkinson's. It's like, that's how our civilization works. It's like there is all these ruined people out there. They've got problems like you cannot believe. After they go to work and do things they couldn't even like. And look, lights are on, my God, it's unbelievable. It's a miracle. And we're so ungrateful, college students, the postmodern types, they're so ungrateful. They don't know that they're surrounded by just a bloody miracle. It's a miracle that all this stuff works. That all you crazy chimpanzees that do not know each other can sit in the same room for 2 hours whittling away without tearing each other's apart, because this is what champs do. Anyway, so what happened? Well, I made some videos. I got to the bottom of these things, at least as far as I can tell. So I told you what the bottom is. And then I got this idea about what you might do it, which isn't my idea. It's not my idea. It's an old idea. It's far older than Christianity. It's old. It's the oldest story of mankind. Get yourself together. Transcend your suffering. See if you can be some hero. Make the suffering in the world less. Well, that's the way forward as far as I can tell. If there is any way forward. Please check my channel for more awesome content. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Your support means a lot. I've gone around and spoken, and a large proportion of my audience have a young man, under 30, something like that. I've spoken to them a lot about responsibility. What's so odd about this is that all of these things that I've spoken about, because I can see the audience and I can feel how the audience is reacting, because I'm always paying my attention to all of you insofar as I can manage that. So I get some sense of what I'm saying in landing, which you have to do if you're gonna speak effectively to people. And then what happens if I talk about responsibility is everyone is silent just like you are. It's a silent not moving, right? Focusing, attentive, say, pick up your responsibility, pick up the heaviest things that you can carry it. And then the room goes quiet and everybody's open eye. And I think that's always make me break up. I don't know why I was speaking to an English journalist today who's gonna write an article in Spectacular magazine. I was talking about this, and at the same point in the discussion, I had the same emotional reaction. I don't really understand it. I think there is something about it that's so crucial, because you've been fed this unending diet of rights and freedoms, and then there is something about that, especially there is something about that's so pathologically wrong. People are starving for the antidote, and then the antidote is truth and responsibility. It isn't because that's what you should do in some, I know better, to someone knows better of you what you should do, since it's that the secret to a meaningful life. And without a meaningful life, then all you have is suffering and nihilism and despair, and all of them the self-contempt. And that's not good. And so it's necessary for men to stand up and take responsibility. And they all know that are starving for that message. And the message is more than also good things to stand up and take responsibility, because you're cruised so much now from when you're young with their notion that your active engagement with the world is part of what is destroying and undermining the planet and adding to the tyranny of the social system. It's like, how about not so much of that, because it's too soul bending, it's anti-human rights to the core. My sense instead is that if you were be able to reveal the best yourself to you in the world, then you would be an overwhelming force for good, and then whatever errors might be made along the way would wash out in the walks. And that's the other things that you see in the Abrahamic story, because Abrahamic is not the perfect person by any strength of imagination. He is a real person, and he makes mistakes, but it doesn't matter. The over-answering narrative is maintain your convent with God, and despite your inadequacies, then the only will you prevail, but you descendants will prevail. It's like great. That's really good news.